Hey guys, it's Bree from Six Hearts on Six Acres. I right now am grabbing rattlesnake beans. These things come on heavy and they grow so fast and they're beautiful because they are absolutely filling this arch. And of course delicious. Next thing I'm grabbing are some cucumbers. These are the size I like to harvest my cucumbers at because they make excellent crunchy pickles. But sometimes they get missed and I end up with this size. I am perfectly okay with these as well. Want to see something you've probably never seen before? This is one of the coolest plants that I grow. This is a zucchini rampicante. We're going to go ahead and harvest this one. Do you see the size on this thing? And this is a small one. So Zucchini rampicante at this stage is very similar to just typical zucchini, except what's awesome about it is this whole stem has nothing but zucchini flesh. There's no seeds in it. All of the seeds are at the end right here. Now if I let these hang out on the vine long, they will turn dark orange just like they would a winter squash. And at that point, they taste very similar to butternut squash. My favorite thing to do with them is to make pasta sauce. So we love them at this stage, but I also love to leave some on the vine to, bugs. I also love to leave some on the vine to harden, and they store really well. I still have some of these in my basement from last year's garden. But like most things in the garden, the more you harvest them, the more they're going to produce. A plant is just trying to put out seed. And so if I keep these picked, it's going to keep putting them on for me. Look at this one. They are just so big. Another. These are an experiment in the garden this year. These are paprika peppers, and so I am going to get as many of these harvested as I can. I am going to smoke them and then dry them and then ground them into my own smoked paprika powder. The thing is that right now I only have 3 ripe peppers off of, I think I have like 5 plants there, and so obviously I need a whole lot more than this to even worry about getting my smoker or my dehydrator going. Hopefully these will last in the fridge for a little while until some more ripen. I haven't harvested any of this sage yet, so I'm going to go ahead and grab some of it to put in the dehydrator as well. I don't use sage in my cooking a whole lot, so I think I'm going to definitely be able to save a year's worth just from this plant. Some of the squash and zucchini that I seeded last week is starting to come up. This is a golden egg zucchini. And now I'm going to get to work harvesting my tunnel. I found something in my garden, in my squash plant, that I struggle with every single year. I thought I was actually doing really great this year. I haven't had any problems so far, but I am seeing my first signs, and that is the squash vine borer. What you want to look for when you are looking through your plants, first of all, you want to look for the eggs. I have found a few this year and I've pulled them off. They look just like squash bug eggs, but instead of being laid in a cluster, it's an individual egg just randomly scattered, typically on the vines. I must have missed some of those though, because now I am seeing what is called frass. Do you see just that tiny bit of frass right here at the stem of this plant? Let me see if I can get it in focus for you. That typically means that I have a vine borer in there that is eating my plant. So I'm going to do a little bit of surgery and see if I can find it. And I can see the hole where it, focus. I can see the hole where that vine borer ate through. So I'm just gonna cut this little bit of a stem open and pull that worm out, and I'll show it. Can you see that tiny little worm inside that plant? Those things will kill your entire plant so quickly. In case you couldn't tell, that's what it looks like on a stick. Right now it is tiny. If I found it later, it would be much larger. But I am going to go ahead and kill this now. So now I'm going to look this plant over really well and make sure that that is the only one. I did find another spot. So you can see there is that frass and how big this hole is. And I can actually already see, I don't know, that worm in there. And he is much bigger than the other one. So let me get him out and I'll show him to you. These things are so disgusting and they will ruin your squash harvest really quickly. I'm going to feed him to my chickens. I was walking back to the garden from giving that to the chickens and I spy some more of these ripe paprika peppers. I found 7 of those disgusting things. Let me show you why I searched so hard though. These, I'm not sure if they're spaghetti squash or delicata squash. I can't remember what I planted and they look similar at this stage, but are connected to this vine. And I have so many of them that I do not want to lose. Hopefully I was able to get all of them out and that plant will heal itself and continue to produce. Also, because this isn't shown enough on other gardening channels, my weeds are getting out of control. I really need to come through here and get all of this cleared out, but I do not have the time right now. This plant is Pippin's Golden Honey. These are seeds that were shared with me and they are so sweet and delicious. Took off the whole stem. Before they're ripe, they look like this. I have a few more back here on this other plant that are ready. And a few more on this plant. I kind of have these all over the place. Oh. This one has some sun scald going on, so I will give that to my chickens. Besides the eggs, that's one of the best things about having chickens out here when you have a garden like this, because sometimes produce does go bad before you get to it, and instead of having to waste it, I mean, it could always go into a compost pile, but I am able to feed it to my chickens and they take care of it, and I love having the feeling of like I don't have any waste. These are ripe candy cane peppers. They have the prettiest variegated leaves. Oh, some more sun scald. My kids like to come pick these out of the garden and just eat them. There's an early prolific straight. And do you see what I see hiding back here? I obviously missed a patty pan squash. This thing is huge. Look how big that guy is. I also have this Y-Star zucchini ready. And my first good size eggplant. I may need, yeah, I'm gonna have to get some snips to get that off. Two more squash and zucchini. My first okra harvest. My phone is dying, unfortunately. I'm gonna wrap up in the garden. I am going to probably pull a few weeds, do a chamomile harvest, grab my shishito peppers and my banana peppers, and then I am going to head inside and I'll show you what we're doing. Well, change of plans. Right as my phone died, my husband decided that we were gonna go ahead and get our calf up and get him banded. So I went and threw my phone on the charger. We got our calf banded, and now I am back in the garden real quick to gather up the last few things that I need. Right away when I walk in here, I see tons of basil, and I need to get it preserved, but I'm going to resist and not pick it tonight because I don't have time. But I have the day off of work tomorrow, so I will do it then. I was going to harvest these shishitos, but they're still, that one's good size, but the rest of them are a little bit smaller than I would typically harvest. But that plant is loaded. I think what I'm going to do instead of gathering up the peppers, because they're still a little bit small, they could hang on there a little bit longer, I'm going to get some dill because I have inside, as soon as I got home from work, I threw a bunch of cucumbers in my food processor. They had been soaking in ice water for the last 24 hours. So I threw them into the food processor and chopped them up small, and now they are soaking in a saltwater solution. So I'm going to make some dill pickle relish. So I'm going to grab some dill seed. These ones here are perfect. I should have read the recipe to see how many I needed because I don't remember. Let me see if I can find some others that are ready. I think those ones will work. Alright, I have lots of dill seed. And now you can't even see them because there are so many weeds. But I have a whole bunch of onions here that I started from seed, and I am going to pull them up to go in my relish. We had rain last night, a lot of it, so they are pretty wet and gross feeling. Those two are grown together. These onions would not be good for curing because they are so wet, but they will work just fine for cooking and for canning. This little patch of zinnia is not the prettiest thing ever. I also need some peppers for my relish. It's a good sized pepper. It's just starting to turn. And look how sad my corn looks. It got blown over multiple times. It kept trying to stand back up, but you can see it looks like a bear has been sleeping in the middle of this corn patch. A lot of them, though, are looking like they are ready to harvest. So we're going to grab one and see if they are ready. Look. Look at that beautiful corn cob. I do have one gross spot right here, but this is organic corn. I didn't spray this, I didn't treat this, I didn't do a single thing to it, and it's beautiful. I am sure some of them have some worms in them. That's pretty typical, but I am celebrating with this. Let's grab a few more, and I'm gonna have them for dinner tonight. right, here's the test. Look at that beautiful corn. No worms in this one either. Last one, my kids are at Bible school tonight, so I don't have to make dinner for them. It's just my husband and I. And my oldest daughter is at church camp. Corn is her absolute favorite food. This little patch of corn was her idea, and so I'm definitely not going to harvest all of them. She will be back on Friday, and so any others that are ready, I will definitely be saving for her. Do you see that little worm? So this is tiny and I'm not even worried about it at all, but sometimes these worms get pretty big and do some damage to your corn. If you're a gardener, I hope you get as excited about the food that you grow as I do. There is just like no better reward than all of your hard work in this garden and then having a great payoff with something that you can have for dinner. Thanks so much for hanging out with me in the garden tonight. I am going to say goodbye here. Even though we are not quite finished yet, we're going to run inside and get that relish finished up, put in jars, canned, and ready for my shelf. But I will see you next time that we are out here in the garden together. Until then, may God bless. Oh yeah, and I always forget to say it, but please like and subscribe if you like seeing these videos and you want to continue on this garden journey with me.